Kofi Juma has always behaved as though he's above the law. And Eric knows that for a fact. We've all...
Eric, do you?
Oh, he knows it.
Why is it
Yes, he knows it. Eric knows it. Don't you know it, Tufo? Superu. I mean, everybody, our viewers who attest to that Kofi Juma has always behaved that he's above the law. Even his talk, his utterances, his political discourse, everything.
But like, you shouldn't allow
I'm coming.
You shouldn't allow that to...
No, listen. I mean, wait. I'm building a point.
point.
Don't disturb my thinking, Eric, my brother. See, he has always behaved as though he's above the law. You get it? As you rightly mentioned, when?
May 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they started, I mean, my information is that they started looking for him long ago. They will call him, listen, this is in your custody. Others have taken over, you know, the administration of that, the state institution. And that all the properties that are at your, you know, whatever, can you return them? The man will snub everybody. He will snub everybody. They started looking for him not today. Called him. I mean, I think people were trying to be, the state, you know, was trying to be gentle with him. I don't think these guys are as, what you call it, draconian, I mean, for want of a better word, as sometimes we try to paint them. Some of them are professionals. But I see politicians have always behaved as though they are above the law. So they will call you in a gentle manner, oh, listen, the state is investigating this thing. And they do so because they know that, listen, parties will go, parties will come.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are state officials or security officials that are going to stay in office for quite some time. Their appointments or promotions and so on are, you know, are tied to, you know...
political tenure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they will invite you in a gentle manner, so and so. But very often, you have politicians who feel that they are above the law and they don't comply with some of these invitations. It was a similar thing that was witnessed in the case of Wontumi. It was a similar thing that was... And then when these state officials move in, and with all the vehicles and then the guns and so on, because they don't know why you are behaving like that. Should just an individual come so that you beat him up, or your boys will beat them up? So they storm the place. I mean, in any case, if they tell you that they are coming, you could leave the place. So then they storm there with all whatever it is that he was mentioning, and then the politicians again, you know, twist that thing to me that why are you coming with, you know, gun blazing? Why are you using 20-something vehicles? Why are you using motorbikes? Why are you using this, bicycles, all that and so on, to come and arrest me? Am I that dangerous? If you weren't dangerous, why did you refuse to show up?
When you were invited.
When you were invited. Napo just told us that, listen, he's been going to this, you know, he's been honoring some of these invitations.
Nobody has...
And nobody has had issues. And it's not just Napo, so many of them. Listen, I keep saying that you can't call yourself a new patriotic party, and when you're supposed to come and render your civic duty, your patriotic duties, you say that, no, don't touch me. You are doing political witch hunting. When you label yourself, you need to live by that label. Obviously, I mean, these are guys who don't want to live by the label. Do you understand?
Yeah.
As far back as May. So even if he says that he had changed his phone numbers, okay, and so people couldn't contact him. How about some of these publications that, you know, very credible institutions like yours and many others, you know, reported on, and other newspapers reported on this particular invitation. So the law-abiding, what you call it, Kofi Juma, didn't hear of this to say that, oh, I hear you guys are looking for me. What is the issue? And at the time, I think he released a particular vehicle. Why? What is the issue? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So then you are, you know, honoring your civic duties. Then the appointer, who was I mean, sorry, not who was. Who is your in-law? That is the president, the ex-president, Nana Akufo-Addo. Okay? Then you are honoring his name. You get what I'm saying? But no, you didn't. To a point where it has to lead to whatever it is that we are dealing with now. Then again, you have politicians twisting it. Oh, why are you arresting the guy in the manner you are arresting him? In the middle of the night. When at the time you went there, had something happened, as Eric, my brother, tried to say. Had something happened, meaning if there was, crossfire, supposedly, what would have happened? Who would you have blamed? But you see, Kofi Juma wouldn't have told you that they called him several times. He wouldn't have said that they even invited him. Sorry, he even gave out one of his cars. At the point in time, even one of his sons spoke to the state security agencies. Do you understand? So, I mean, why do we have to go to this, thing all the time? And let me tell you, if you go through Kofi Juma's background, Kofi Juma has been around for years.
Oh, yeah.
He's a contemporary of Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings. The late P.V. Obeng. They were together in KNUST. Took part in NUCS, Ghana Union students and all those things. So he's an established institution. Kumase Mayor.
Yeah.
Former deputy minister for local government under President Kufuor, gotten so many other appointments under President Akufo-Addo. An in-law of President Akufo-Addo because his son is married to the president's, the then president's daughter. So you need to live by a certain reputation. You don't get to this particular thing. Vehicles gone, properties were sold, belonging to GIHOC. That, I mean, they said, listen, they are looking into this particular matter.
Yeah.
Come and give an account of your stewardship.
Yeah.
If you love Ghana, if you are patriotic, we don't get to this level.
Could the state security agencies, after they pick them up in this way, come out and explain to us that indeed we had invited them on several occasions and they refused or rejected the invitation, for which reason we had no other option than to go ahead? Then it puts this matter to rest.
Have you made contact with the state security agencies?
But they should be able to communicate to us.
They should be able to, but I'm saying that have you made contact with them?
No.
Exactly. Okay? Exactly. So maybe if you had made contact with them, your questioning will be different.
Yes, but, well, I get where you're coming from, but that's what I'm saying.
I also get where you're coming from, where, you see, the state, sometimes, when you leave a vacuum,
exactly,
everybody,
there's room for ambiguity,
everybody
will throw in
enter.
whatever.
Yes, there's nothing like empty. This container that is empty, there's something in there, which is air.
Yeah.
So once they leave the vacuum, the politicians, they were exploited. And indeed, I mean, I have no issue with them, doing so. However, listen, why would Kofi Juma, at your level, how many years more? You are over 80. I'm saying that he's over 80 years. You don't.
He's 70 plus.
sorry, 70 plus, almost 80.
Mm.
You don't leave some of these things for for your children to come and be dealing with, your grandchildren to become and to come and be dealing with. You serve the state, diligently or otherwise. There are questions about your stewardship. Chief, come and respond to it. On the matter of the cars, some of the cars apparently they were bought. I mean, and within 2 years, they were sold to him. A letter went to STC for valuation.
98,000.
Okay.
And then they bought that car for 4,000. I think 4,900 cedis.
And that exposes an even deeper problem, even pointing figures at officials at STC, State Transport Company.
Well, but what communication went to them? What discussion went on at the board level? Do you understand?
So this is what happened. I think the valuation report, when the value died, the car, it was supposed to cost 98,000 Ghana.
Yeah.
But that same car was sold at a cost of 4,000.
Is that the Genesis or the Sequoia?
I think one of them.
Okay. So how many cars were at his disposal?
Initially we had 3, but his lawyers are saying 2 he legally owns.
Owned by who?
Kofi
By
Juma.
him. Because he had used the STC process to acquire it. Charlie, some of these things, yeah, anyway. But I mean, talking about the knowledge prosecutor, for me, I belong to the school of thought that says that shouldn't have been done. allow the processes to go through.
Yeah.
But the feedback I got from, talking to some of the people were that some of the judges, but their demeanor at the court level was to prove a point. Because at the time we had an attorney general who was accused of judge shopping. Shopping for judges. Oh, listen, I prefer this judge.
On this
I want that
case.
judge. To a point where some of the judges, who retired and their cases handed over to new judges, those judges said that, listen, I want to, start this whole case afresh. Okay? As soon as he said that, the Chief Justice who is under,
suspended CJ.
Exactly. Transferred that judge to Kumasi. I'm talking about the Opuni case.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And brought in a judge that, for whatever they, for whatever purpose they wanted. If you had appointed me to take over a certain case, I want to appreciate the case from whatever it is. And his claim was that, the new judge was that, listen, some of these cases had been tainted politically. They are too controversial for me to just assume the case at this stage as it is. So do you know something? Let's start this whole process all over again. And an attorney general said, no, I don't want it like that. Went to Court of Appeal, had the, whatever it is, thrown, I think won the Court of Appeal, but then at the Supreme Court level, the whole thing was thrown off. But in between that, the judge had been transferred to Kumasi on a phone call. When I remember Herald did
but I'm sure this will be backed by official documents. The
Herald did a publication. The Chief Justice then issued a press statement or sent out a rejoinder saying that said that the transfer was purely an administrative procedure. An administrative procedure that had you or that had the Attorney General then going to the Court of Appeal and subsequently to the Supreme Court. Do you understand? It smells something else.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So then the new government comes and says, you know something, you can't trust some of these judges by their conduct.
But Larry, if you go that route, then it means that we have a broken system. Then the same judges.
The system was broken. The system was broken before.
I'm not saying. You see,
Eric, let me ask you this.
No,
so you are on a case. I'm coming.
Larry,
you are being prosecuted. Eric, you are being prosecuted. Eric, you are being prosecuted, and you have your rights, certain civil rights. It's like, listen, this whole thing, and then a judge, as in Superior, or I'm coming, let me finish. So, Tufor says that, listen, I have taken over this case. Eric, for your own betterment, I want to start this whole thing afresh. Then, let's say, Samen sits somewhere and says that, oh, listen, Tufor, listen, let's take you off the thing.
But you see, Larry,
what does that suggest?
You didn't.
It means that Samen wants a certain effect.
But you didn't take your time.
True of us.
That's a picture.
You didn't take your time to listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you're going by that analogy, then really we are lost as a country.
It is not my analogy, but it's a fact that
no, but you see, that's what I'm saying. That you see, if you're going by that analogy, where even there's a given whatever it is that you're saying is what has happened. Now, these same judges are still the judges that we are dealing with. It's the same judicial system. We haven't added new people into the system. It's all of a sudden, because there's a change in government, the orientation and their inclinations will change. So for me, I think that if we, in certain instances, we want to follow the Constitution to the letter, right? And go into that. Then in other cases, for some reason, we allow expediency and convenience to hold sway. And that is when issues like emotions and sentiments and justifications come into play. When really, in one breath, you have a system that comes. For example, you brought the Chief Justice conversation, so I'll say a little bit of it. For example, the NDC government is saying that they are following the Constitution to the letter, right? Because a petition has been, or a series of petitions have been sent to the presidency, and they are following to the letter. Right. Yet, they didn't follow. They didn't allow the process, like for this thing to go through, because they use discretion and all of that to do that. And I'm saying that when you do that, and somebody sitting back and takes a cursory look at all of this, even plus the stuff that Larry has said, then it points to a system that is actually totally broken.
But that's what it is.
Why do you think the MPP lost an election? This, embarrassing.
No. You see, but we are not going. We are not
Let's
here to
go
discuss.
there.
But
we are
Eric,
not here to discuss.
But Eric, is that the current state of the
No,
system?
but that is why I'm saying that. You see, that's what I'm saying.
And it's
that,
you
see,
politicians who have to be blamed
I
for
don't have
it.
a problem with blaming politicians. All I'm saying is that, as we speak today, if we are minded by fixing the issues, the challenges, it is not an MPP problem or an NDC problem. It's a Ghanaian problem, right? And say that, okay,
That should be addressed by Ghanaians.
Exactly.
And then why those fixing it, they are not Ghanaians?
Oh no, but you're not getting my point. I think that so today, why me and you?
No, I'm sorry. Sometimes
You're a bit frustrated. Why? Because it's after me on Kofi Juma. You understand? But you see, it can only happen in this country because one, a government has lost power. A new government has come. There's a certain sense of goodwill and everything. So it's almost as if that everything that they do is is covered in
Right.
You understand? But they look at it with rose tinted glasses. But the reality is that for even the Ghanaian people to believe that the political class are actually doing what is right, there has to be consistency, right, and some level of principle in this conversation. So I'm not against anybody. Right, and I'm not going to defend anybody that has taken state resources and all of that and is going through due process. But I'm saying that this Rambo style
of arrest,
because you see, what you don't want to happen, in this country, we always wait for something bad to happen. Imagine this thing you go into somebody's home and something untoward happens. Maybe somebody's gun mistakenly goes off or whatever, and somebody ends up. Well, then it becomes, you understand? And I'm saying that we are coming from a backdrop of Martyrs' Day and all of those people, judges who were picked from their homes and murdered for all sorts of things, and people justify the reasons why they were murdered and all of those things, and people are still reeling. You understand? People have still not forgiven.
Yeah.
So we cannot pretend as if that, it's business as usual because it's happening to persons in the MPP at the moment, or it happened to people in NDC in the past. So even in 2055, 2065, we should continue. That is my point.
Fair well.
But anyway.
Let me bring in Larry Dogbey. Larry Dogbey is the editor of the Herald newspaper.